as a student of history, the first question is, how do you know? What do you know? Sources of history. We start from there. So we have our literary sources. So if you have not studied Mughals before, then there will be lots of new terms, but we'll do it, no problem. So as I said, Mughals have left behind abundant amount of sources, and matlab, if you don't bother about the time of history, if you want just abundant sources, तो आपको literally you know to the level कि किस किस दिन बादशाह क्या क्या कर रहा है every single day. You also know that throughout the reign, in every province, in every district, who are the officers, what are they doing. इतना डेटा पहले कभी नहीं था. So that makes this era very fascinating. But we shall try to focus more on the upper echelon of sources, the imperial sources at the central government. If you go to district level, तो बहुत ज़्यादा काम. We don't need that. So at the upper level, the oldest book that we have is Tuzuke Babari. Tuzuke Babari, or which is also called as Babarnama. I have its two translations, old one and new one also. Uh, it is actually a book called Vakaya. Vakaya. Happenings. It is the diary that Babar did not write it as autobiography. He wrote a diary. And for some years he was more regular in writing entries. For some other years he was not so regular in writing entries. Now this diary of Babar or Vakaya, Vakaya मतलब happenings, घटनाएं क्या घटी, Vakaya, it's originally written in a Turkish language, Chaktai Turkish. It's a version of Turkish, and in that language it is a classic literature even today. मतलब इतना personal, इतना candid writing, I don't think any other emperor has done that I know of. It is highly personal, highly candid. In Turkish language, it is called as Tuzuke Babari. When it comes into Persian, it is called as Babarnama. So same book has two names in two different languages. It was translated later by some later people. Then we have another book called Kanun-e Humayuni. यहाँ पे it was the court historian of Humayun, so to say, who recorded lots of things. In entire Mughal Empire, I think it was only Babur, and then later on बाकी एक और एक बादशाह है, हम देखेंगे उसको. Both of them only wrote autobiographies. For others, they had दरबारी इतिहासकार. So that tradition starts from Humayun. So Khwandamir is the person who is the दरबारी इतिहासकार for Humayun. Then we have Humayun Nama. Humayun Nama दिखता है Humayun Nama हो. So you might feel like Babar Nama, written by Babur. Humayun Nama would be by Humayun. It is not. It is a biography and not autobiography. It is written by his sister, that is Gulbadan Begum. This is a book written by a female, and that automatically has some change of nuances, focus different होगा. तो you know in this book for the first time कि family में क्या चलता था, the politics behind, कौन लोग थे, जनाना कैसे था, कैसे क्या चलता. तो you have a lot of very interesting details. Gulbadan did not want to write it originally. Humayun died early when Akbar was very young, and Akbar was clear of his own role in history. So at certain point he talked to every other person alive from the previous generation कि भाई you mention your memories, हमारी परंपरा खत्म नहीं होनी चाहिए, इतिहास में दर्ज होनी चाहिए. तो all of those who had accompanied Humayun and still were alive when Akbar was ruling, he requested them personally to write their memories. So उस केस में यहाँ पे गुलबदन बेगम wrote Humayun Nama at that point of time. Then you have other book, Tazkiratul Waqayat. Same thing. Akbar requested him to write. So we have Johar Aftabchi wrote the other book. Then we come to the interregnum of Sher Shah. In Sher Shah's era also, we have one noble called Abbas Khan Sarwani. He wrote Sher Shah's history called Tarikh-e-Sher Shahi, not when Sher Shah was alive. After Sher Shah was dead, then came other people, then came Humayun, Then came Akbar, and Akbar also told him, मुझे पता होना चाहिए इतिहास में क्या घटा, लिखो. So Sher Shah also is writing at the time of Akbar. Sher Shah ne, Abbas Khan Sarwani, at the time of Akbar, ki how Sher Shah was. So that is Tarikh-e Sher Shahi. Then comes the next book. Next book, an interesting one, is Tarikh-e Alfi. Alfi. If you remember, what is Alif? First letter and also 1000. So इतिहास की ऐसी interesting चीज है that when Akbar was ruling was the completion of 1000 years of Islam, and that became a very sensational thing in entire Islamic history across the world. So Akbar wanted to finish that कि भाई इतिहास में 1000 साल में इस्लाम का प्रोग्रेस कैसा हुआ. That was the book written, Tarikh-e-Alfi, History of 1000 years. That book is still untranslated. It's still in Persian maybe. So इसकी प्रॉब्लम ये इस किताब की, once the book was completed, even Akbar did not like the book. So he thought कि this book is not that important. Let us again start the project once again from scratch. And it is at that time started the project. The second time that became Akbarname. Akbarnama. And here we have the main person, the chronicler Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl was a very dear friend of Akbar. And Akbarnama has 3 volumes, or we can call them 3 daftars. Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. It has history of entire India, starting from the very ancient time, coming to Akbar's era. And in this book, यहाँ पे a different kind of history is written. Before this history, all tawarikhs from the beginning of Delhi Sultanate till this point of time always used to begin from the foundation of Islam, the history of Muslims, not history of the land of India. In Akbarnama, Akbar says history will begin in India, not from Arabia. So that is one thing. Second, repositioning that was done by Akbar was that it was shown not as a progress of some emperor versus against others. It was shown as a national project, that we want to create a great empire, unify everybody, centralize the power, and any other person, भले हिंदू हो या मुसलमान हो, doesn't matter. If you're opposing this empire, you are trying to destroy or fragment the empire. So it was always national versus regional, and not Muslim versus Hindu. That book has that clear position. National kind of a project making versus regional Pisiporus tendencies. Anyway, if you come to the third volume of the book, the third volume is called Ain-e-Akbari, and it is a great book. We do not have any such book before that that gives us details of such quality, where you have I have the translation of Ain-e-Akbari मैं अभी देख रहा था आने से पहले. I thought कि I will bring in the class, but I then thought कि कुछ मतलब नहीं है उसका. So anyway, so Akbar's administration, household, army, revenue, geography of the empire, Indian culture, statistical data regarding crop yields, prices, wages, revenue of every province by province by province. So, and Akbar's philosophy also. So it is kind of British era gazetteer plus statistical record. इतने डिटेल्स कभी ना. एंड ये बनाने के लिए अबुल फजल ने भयानक मेहनत की. They started a new department or ministry as such, and they used to send to the provinces the letters कि हमें हर साल का डेटा चाहिए of every year. All the provinces used to give data in triplicates, not one but 3 times, so that you can verify and cross verify. And then if you don't have data, then अगर कुछ पुराना जमाना है, in the pre-Akbar era, you have to write something, so you go and interview people, and for every interview it should be at least 3-4 different people जिनको पूछो अलग अलग, और if they all verify the same fact, only then it will come into the book. It was a massive history writing. It was a very scientific of उस जमाने के हिसाब से scientific project to create Ain-e-Akbari. It's a very interesting book. Then we have Muntakhab ul Tawarikh. We all know that Abul Fazl wrote Akbarnama. He was also great person, but at some level he is Akbar ka chatukar. We can't deny that. He is so biased towards Akbar that somewhere you see that he is not very critical also. He always full of praise. And कुछ कुछ जगह जो चीजें पसंद नहीं आई वो skip भी कर दी है उसने. Rarely but की हुई है. So to counter Abul Fazl's very adulatory kind of writing, we have the other writing that is by Badayuni. Now, Badayuni was also in the court of Akbar. He was highly Islamist, but he was also a great scholar at the same time. He never agreed with Akbar, but he was at a very high post. Akbar, matlab Akbar's religious policy of Sulh-e-Kul, Badayuni would hate it from his guts. Ab, he was also a great scholar of Sanskrit, Badayuni. Akbar ने क्या कर दिया? Akbar put Badayuni on the as a position on the position of head of the translation bureau to translate Mahabharat into Persian. Badayuni और परेशान हो गया, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ जिंदगी. So he used to go to his home every evening and secretly write against Akbar कि बादशाह ये है, बादशाह वो है, सब नुकसान कर दिया, एंटी इस्लामिक है, एंड आई हैव बिन ट्रांसलेटिंग महाभारत, कौरव पांडव सब नरक में जाएंगे वगैरह वगैरह. मतलब ही राइट्स ऑल दैट. ऑल द ट्रांसलेटर्स ऑफ महाभारत विल आल्सो गो टू नरक. अब लेकिन बादशाह के खिलाफ पब्लिकली बोलने की जरूरत तो नहीं है. So we have a very different type of wherever Akbar has failed. For example, he started some Karodi experiment of agriculture, massive disaster. So अबुल फजल ने पूरा स्किप कर दिया. और बदाऊनी ने कहा देखो इसको इतना भी नहीं आता, उतना भी नहीं आता. अब Akbar, and we'll see in religious policy at one point of time, Akbar wanted to go to mosque and read himself the entire list of the kings. इसको क्या कहते हैं? खुतबा. खुतबा. तो अकबर तो फैजी के भाई ने खुतबा, अबुल फजल का भाई था फैजी, फैजी रोड खुतबा. अकबर को पढ़ना तो वैसे नहीं आता, वहां पे गया, ही स्टार्टेड टू रिसाइट द खुतबा. तो बदायूनी वाज देयर, बदायूनी दिखता है कि इनको ही कांट इवन प्रोनाउंस वर्ड्स प्रॉपर्ली, इसको बोलना भी नहीं आता, सब लोग हंस रहे, अपना मजाक उड़ा दिया अकबर ने, ये क्या मतलब है, वगैरह वगैरह. So it's such a very interesting thing. So you have to understand Akbar. You should compare by putting together Abul Fazl and Badayuni, and then you get two different perspectives, and the complete picture emerges. Then we have one more book called Tabaqat-e-Akbari. This book is not that popular by Nizamuddin Ahmad in Persian, but this is also the history of the time of Akbar. Then you come to next book in the time of Jahangir, Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri. This is the second autobiography. The first one was Babur, second one is by Jahangir, Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri, the autobiography of Jahangir. So we have seen that in the case of Delhi Sultanate, the only sultan to attempt to write autobiography was Firoz Shah Tughlaq. It's a very small book, incomplete, 20-30 पन्ने की है. You can go to archive.org and read it. And in the case of Mughal Empire, we have two autobiographies, Babarnama or rather Tuzuk-e-Babari, and then we have Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri. We have also other book called Masir-e-Jahangiri, but again it is kind of official book. Then we come to the time of Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan continued the type of the writing that was started by Akbar. Akbar के ज़माने में you have Akbarnama. In case of Shah Jahan, we have Shah Jahan-nama or Padshah-nama. There are two terms that come for the same book, Badshah-nama also and Shah Jahan-nama also. They are used interchangeably, but some very purist people focus on specific naming. They say the book is Badshah-nama, but when you have the book painted with illustrations, then that should be called as Shah Jahan-nama. But it is the same text, same text. In case of Akbarnama, the main person leading the project is Abul Fazl. In case of Shah Jahan-nama or Padshah-nama, we have two people. First is Abdul Hamid Lahori, a very important person who was himself a disciple of Abul Fazl, and at some point of time he was no more available. So comes next person to continue the project called Muhammad Waris. But this Abdul Hamid Lahori is more known, well-known person, Abdul Hamid Lahori. Then you come to the time of Badshah Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb के ज़माने में the same tradition continued initially, and the book is called Alamgir-nama. And we have one complete decade of history there. अब ये it's not that it's very easy to write history. इतना सारा data compile करना, it was a complete ministry. It is very costly. So after 10 years, for some reason that we are not very sure what is the reason, Aurangzeb discontinued the ministry. इतिहास लिखना official department बंद हो गया. So The author of Alamgirnama, Muhammad Kazim, first 10 years of Aurangzeb are available. But in case of Aurangzeb, we have a very interesting thing. Lot of other people also knew that they are living an interesting era. So they had access to some things. They noticed some things. Some of them went with Aurangzeb to different parts of India also. So they kept on writing in their personal capacity. It was not authorized by the state. It is not Sarkari Itihas like the Akbarnama was. So we have these many books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. ये 5 किताबें हैं which are written either when Aurangzeb was alive or just when he had passed away from the memory within 5-10 years maybe. So one is Muntakhab ul Lubab by Khafi Khan. Khafi Khan had accompanied Aurangzeb to Dakhan also. जो आखिरी के 25 औरंगजेब was on throne for 50 साल 50 years he was the emperor 25 years in north and 25 years in दखन 50-50 में डिवाइड होता है वो तो सेकंड हाफ जो है दखन की जो उसका पूरा जमाना है उसके इंटीमेट डिटेल्स इफ यू वांट तो यू गेट खाफी खान्स बुक मुंतखाब उल लुबाब वी हैव फुतुहत आलमगीर by ईश्वरदास नागर नुस्खा ए दिलखुशा by भीमसेन सक्सेना and another very notorious famous book is Masir-e Alamgiri. Masir-e Alamgiri written by Saki Musta'id Khan. Because आज जो पूरा डिबेट होता है that he was a religious bigot. He gave orders for temple destruction वगैरह उसके जो resources तो fundamental उसके जो primary sources हैं they are found in this book Masir-e Alamgiri by Saki Musta'id Khan. So whenever this Aurangzeb debate comes up 2-4 बार होता है साल में कभी ना कभी डिबेट आता रहता है तो द सेल ऑफ दिस बुक गोज अप पीपल वांट टू सी ओरिजिनल लिखा क्या है ना सो यू जस्ट गो एंड टॉक टू द पब्लिशर्स वो खुश डिबेट वो उनका दुकान अच्छी चलती है किताब बिकती है वी हैव खुलासा तवारिख सुरजन राय खत्री बट दीज 2 बुक्स आर मोर वेल नोन मुंतखाब उल लुबाब बाय खाफी खान एंड मासिर आलमगिरी बाय साकी मुस्तैद खान so these are proper history books. Now, apart from history books, we have other documents. It was a great empire. Empire runs with data. You have to have archives and processes. So you have many other sources also. Some of them are available. One is akhbarat. What is akhbarat? For that, you should know how the Mughal Empire used to function. A Badshah sits on the throne and there is entire paraphernalia besides him. ऐसे नहीं कि किसी ने कुछ रिक्वेस्ट कर दी बादशाह ने सुन ली और ग्रांट कर लिया अब ऐसे नहीं होता वो request has to come via proper channels. So there are various officers at different levels. They are considered at multiple levels and then Badshah gets to listen to it. But it will happen in public, not in the private. Then whatever Badshah speaks, अब उस समय तुरंत तो ऑर्डर जारी नहीं होगी फरमान बनेगा Farman making is a long process. It takes time. So there are people sitting beside him to note down in shorthand everything Badshah says. So they form a short draft. Then the process of that draft की beginning से to Farman creation is another long bureaucratic process. उसमें भी कई दिन चले जाएंगे. Some departments will be involved. And entire final जब फरमान आएगा it will come back to Badshah for confirmation कि आपने ही order दी थी क्या. So those historians who study Mughal Empire need to know these functions of bureaucracy properly because they are going to handle these primary sources, not just histories, but actual things. So Akhbar was newsletters. Recently, I think in case of Aurangzeb, a lot of Akhbars are in Bikaner library and another lot of them are in London. Those people have now digitized them, they are available online. But they are in Shikasta. So अगर आप फारसी पढ़ना जानते भी हो तो शिकस्ता पढ़ना और इट्स अ ब्रोकन स्क्रिप्ट शिकस्ता मीन्स ब्रोकन स्क्रिप्ट दे डोंट गिव नुक्ताज नुक्ते नहीं है पढ़ने के लिए इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट so it's not very easy to follow this but akhbar are the newsletters these are not for common people these are newsletters for the court from various regions कि इस region में क्या चल रहा है वहां पे खबरें यहाँ पे आ जाए people don't read newspapers they are not newspapers they are newsletters then farman is the final imperial order and seeing the फरमान ऑफ द मुगल एम्पायर इज इट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग उसका पूरा साइंस था टेक्निक था फरमान कैसे बनेगा विच सिक्का विल गो वेयर विच राइटिंग विल गो देयर व्हाट काइंड ऑफ राइट फॉर्मेट्स डिटेल था पूरा फरमान and there are lots of forged farmans also. So anyway, so people expertise in identifying which is असली फरमान and नकली फरमान. ऐसे स्किल बहुत कम लोगों के पास बचा हुआ है, पूरे इंडिया में शायद 2-4 लोग होंगे. That's all. Then we have sanads and nishan. Sanads are grants and nishan is order given by the princess. So these are basic documents, they are quite available, they are primary sources. We have some books also apart from it. One book is Mirat-e-Ahmadi, which is like the Gujarat level version of Ain-e-Akbari. It also gives lots of data statistically. We don't have it available everywhere else. So these are Mirat-e-Ahmadi. One very interesting book that is possibly by unknown author is called as Dabistan-e-Mazahib. Dabistan-e-Mazhab. Mazahib is plural of Mazhab. It's a kind of a survey of all religions and philosophies in India. So Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, etc., etc., etc. It must have come some decades after Akbar's era. We don't know who the author is, but if you want to understand the religious history of 17th century India, this is a very good book. Dabistan-e-Mazahib, unknown author. And then much later we have one book called Masirul Umrah. अब ये थोड़ा सा समझते हैं. उमरा, आमिर का प्लूरल उमरा होता है, ग्रेट पीपल. सो इफ यू गो टू द ब्रिटिश एरा लाइब्रेरी एंड सी, दे हैव बुक्स कॉल्ड द नोटेबल्स ऑफ हिंदुस्तान, कि यहाँ के जो बड़े बड़े लोग हैं उनके फैमिलीज कौन कौन से, एंड दे हैव एंटर डिक्शनरीज ऑफ 200 फैमिलीज, 400 फैमिलीज, 500 फैमिलीज, एंड उनकी 10 पीढ़ियाँ क्या करती थी, 20 पीढ़ियाँ क्या करती थी, एटसेट्रा. These are elites, who's who, and their families need to be known. So British had compiled such books. Similar version also existed in the pre-British era. I have Umra-e-Hunud in English. This is one Masirul Umra. So we have all who's who of the aristocratic families, unki pidhiya, and what do they now. So we know the all mansabdars, jagirdars, kaun the. So we have that history also. These are basic books. For UPSC, the more probability is going to be on the official histories. So this page is going to be relatively more important. Apart from the histories, we have other sources also. We have coinage, we have paintings. Aajkal paintings have become more important. Because from paintings you get to see there are painting experts who study Mughal Empire through paintings. There are lots of Europeans coming to India at that point. Lots of them. Some of them have written some books. I am not enlisting all of them, some important of them. Again, from the exam point of view, you should know the sources before you know history, always. So here, it's a list of some important travelers who came and left behind their records. In the era of Akbar, we have Ralph Fish. Ralph Fish came from England and he did not meet Akbar. Akbar ke darbar mein nahi aaya tha, but he was there at that time. Akbar ke darbar mein he had Ibadat Khana debate, and this Ibadat Khana debate had some Christians who had come from Portugal, or from Goa rather, from Goa, Father Montserrat and Father Xavier and one other person. So some of them wrote some documents afterwards. So they are Jesuit priests at Akbar's court. When Akbar was in Fatehpur Sikri, they were in Fatehpur Sikri. When Akbar shifted to Lahore, they shifted to Lahore. Akbar के मरने के बाद भी वो कुछ समय तक वहाँ पे रहे, उनमें से कुछ लोग. So these are the Portuguese people. The contact of India, मतलब Mughal Empire and England officially starts in the era of Jahangir. यहाँ पे you have two people coming from British side, William Hawkins and Thomas Roe. William Hawkins and Thomas Roe. British East India Company was established in 1599-1600, right? December 99 था, officially confirmed होते तक जनवरी आ गया था. So that's why I'm using both the years. So they are coming to India after the formation of East India Company. Okay. So when East India Company was formed, who was the Mughal Badshah in India? 1599-1600. Akbar. Akbar died in 1605. But जब तक कंपनी बने, they have shareholders, they start getting ships and they send people in India. Tab tak Akbar is dead, they came in the court of Jahangir. So we have William Hawkins was not the official person. Thomas Roe was official, and he has written both of them have written some things. Thomas Roe की diary बड़ी famous है. We'll study some of Thomas Roe's observations also on Jahangir, because Jahangir at one point of time is writing his own biography, and इस तरफ यहाँ पे है Thomas Roe, and both of them are meeting and both of them are writing, but दोनों का नजरिया पूरा अलग है. We have that comparison also. Then you come to Shah Jahan's era. We have four very important people: Peter Mundy, Palset, Tavernier, and Bernier. In our new NCERT of UPA era, we have long writing on Bernier. Bernier is these people wrote a lot, and their writing became somewhat well known in Europe. So they are creating impressions in the minds of Europe about what this Indian land is. For example, वो अच्छा भी कहते हैं, बुरा भी कहते हैं. For example, if you think of Thomas Roe only, he is so surprised that in India Hindu Muslims live together. बोले हमने कभी देखा ही नहीं ऐसे. If you come to Europe, we have Christian Muslim, इतनी ज़्यादा झगड़े हैं, मारकाट होती है, and in our own country we don't have rights to express ourselves very properly. In case of Akbar, in case of Mughal Empire, यहाँ पे तो सब प्यार से रह रहे. That is his observation as a outsider. He was wondering कि ये कैसे हो गया. He found it very unusual. Understand, this is the era when in Europe we have 30 years war going on, massive religious war, है ना? So anyway, and here we have Mundy, Palset, Tavernier, and Bernier. Bernier writes for India doesn't have middle class, king holds all the land. जो बाद में, if you have sociology or anthropology or political science optional, you know the stereotype that Karl Marx had in mind about India. उसका जो एक सोर्स, मेजर सोर्स है, बर्नियर साहब है. He created the basic fundamentals of the ideas of Oriental despotism, जो कार्ल मार्क्स ने थियरी बना दी उसकी बाद में. Anyway, so we have these travelers. Peter Mundy, he comes to Gujarat and disperses lots of things. Peter Mundy वही इंसान है. He says कि भाई in Gujarat, in this part of India, a huge famine is going on, huge number of people are dying, and what is Badshah doing? Building Taj Mahal. So that kind of observation is given by Peter Mundy. So you have these people, and they give us a very different kind of thing. In the era of Aurangzeb, we have some people. The most important one is Nikolai Manucci. Manucci is extremely. अगर जिंदगी में मन हो, मौका मिले, you should read Manucci. You'll enjoy him. He actually came in 1643, which is well before the reign of Aurangzeb started. So actually, Manucci is there in the era of Shah Jahan also and Aurangzeb also. Manucci was eyewitness to the entire process of the succession wars of Aurangzeb and Dara Shikoh, the details of which come from his book. And then he stayed here for longer time, so we have later data also. Okay, Thevenot and John Fryer are not that important, So Manucci, Bernier, and Thomas Roe, these three are extremely important. We have, अगर आपको मुगल इतिहास लिखना समझना है, you should know Farsi, you should know Arabic, you should know Braja Bhasha, Awadhi, you should know English, French, Portuguese. आपको सब आनी चाहिए. Then you can write history of Mughal era. It's not easy.